Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Preserve Championships press conference. Our very first guest of the day, we're going to get right to it, is Matty O. Matt, you literally just pulled up. Tell us about you driving here and what it took for you to get here to the Preserve for the first time.
Started off a little late. I was supposed to leave early this week, but my car, I had to put like $1,500 into it. It didn't get done till late Monday. So then I changed to Tuesday afternoon, left, stopped in Memphis, hung out with some buddies. I was supposed to go to a league and do some stuff to kind of make a little gas money on the way. Well, I ended up just driving and putting the address in, and it ended up bringing him to his house, so I didn't even make it to the league. But the guy that actually I was meeting up with aced, and he gave me his ace money, so kind of worked out in a little bit. So then I woke up the next morning and busted it all the way up here and slept in a rest stop or a rest area like old school times, like when I was a kid on tour. If I'd have known I was in the lead card, I would have got a hotel, though, I ain't going to lie. But
well, you're here, you're safe. That's more than 20 hours, even if you were just to drive it straight as you're coming up from Mobile. So you've already answered my next question, which was going to be, is what do you think of the property? But you haven't even had a chance to see it.
I used to live in New Orleans, kind of right there in the French Quarter near the Mississippi. So when I found out it was on the Mississippi River, I'm like, and I heard you can swim in it almost up here. I was like, that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. I ain't seen it yet. I was like, I got to go check that out for sure.
So we just mentioned you're going to be on one of our feature cards. We've got Eagle McMahon, Kyle Klein, Nikola Castro, and yourself. A couple of the established guys, and then you, Nikko. You guys go a long way back. What are the feels and some of the vibes going into this first round tomorrow?
Oh, I'm super stoked. I haven't played with him in a while. I'm actually kind of looking at him now, but I'm stoked to play with him because we haven't played in a real long time. I swear. I think it has been like 4 or 5 years. We're always just not matched, so I'm stoked on that. And then KJ is one of my best guys on tour ever since the me and Seppo and Kevin and Charlie tour kind of thing. And then obviously Eagle is awesome. So, I mean, I woke up in a business day out of my car. I'll put it that way.
Well, we're excited to have you. Actually, it's going to be Kyle Klein, not KJ USA. Oh, cool. However, again, another young gun. Excited to see what he can do. He had the runner-up performance just last weekend. So we're seeing you here, but it feels like you kind of bounce in and off the tour. What's the game plan here, and we'll say for the next couple weeks?
I'm actually on a 6-week trip this time. I'm doing here, Ledgestone, Idlewild. I hope I get to play Britt Hamburg. It's either there or Stafford in Jersey. I kind of put my name on the wait list for the Hamburg just recently, so I kind of rather play there. No offense to Jersey. And then I'm going to do Delaware, but not the Northeast. But then I'm doing every tournament after that in the Southeasterns.
So just to follow that up for a moment, what has brought you off of the tour, or we saw you earlier in Texas and a few of the other events. What makes your decision for where you're going and when you're jumping back on the
Well, earlier this year, honestly, I didn't have my proper signing up for tournaments, so I was on the wait list a lot for a lot of those earlier, so I had to kind of just get in where I could get in. And now that I hit that timing to where I actually learned my lesson and then was able to sign up for all the tournaments, I put myself in the place where I could. And then I got a girlfriend that's got 2 little boys, so I got to make sure I get a little time with them and all that. So be a slightly family man. I'm adulting here slowly.
Well, all right. Well, the last question I've got for you is, how do you show up? This is a pro tour event at a pretty big course. Did you do any, reviews from videos from last year? Your practice time's clearly going to be limited. What will be the #1 game plan to go into this course tomorrow? Somewhat blind.
Well, I was going to watch last year's, but I heard they changed the course from last year. So I don't know how much, but I felt like I watched it last year live when Nikko won. So I kind of remember a little bit of it, but I had to drive the whole time, so I never really got a chance to check it out. But I guess I'm going to see. I kind of like it because I usually get to see every course I've been to. And this is my first course in a while. I'm like going in raw, but I ain't even seen it really on camera much or nothing. I'm just kind of like. And then now I look this morning, I'm like, oh man, I'm on featured card. I slept in my car last night. I guess I need to get pack my lunch and get ready now,
Well, one of the longest grinders out on tour, Matty O. We're excited to see you on the feature card. Best of luck to you. I'm not sure if we have any other questions, but if not, it sounds like we're all good. You go get some practice in, get some good rest, and we'll see you on the card tomorrow.
I swear, if I win this tournament, I'm floating my way to Ledgestone on a raft. You can quote me.
We'll hold you to it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Joining us now is our returning champion in Nikola Castro. You took down the inaugural event last year. You're back here on the property. What are some of the feels? What are the vibes for you?
It just feels good. I'm vibing out here. I'm living the dream. I'm sleeping in a van down by the river right now, so I got the riverside view. I'm here with some good friends, and it just feels good to be out here. It's a nice spot. Weather's a little so-so. We had the smoke roll in this morning from Canada, I guess, so there's some type of advisory, and we're back to like wearing masks on the course, which kind of sucks, but hopefully that clears out by tomorrow, so everybody can just feel good and have some nice air to breathe.
And here at this course, you're going to be playing up against Cale, who's someone you've literally traveled around the world and battled against extensively. What does it mean when you look at the history between you and him, and now being here on his property with what he has to offer? What do you take from that? Cale
has been a good friend of mine for a long time, and I know he's put a lot of hard work and effort into this course, his property, and I know he's had a lot of help from the locals here. So it just feels good. You can tell that there has been some changes on the course. So yeah, people have been working hard to put this tournament together, and I heard they sold like 1,000+ spectator passes. So that's really exciting that we have the spectators back, and that really just adds to the excitement of the sport. You could tell that the sport's growing a lot, especially, just last week in Michigan, I felt that there was a real vibration from the disc golf community, and it was just total excitement. No matter where we go, disc golf is growing, and you could really feel it these days.
One of the things I've heard you talk about throughout the years is what's next for you, whether that's after your playing career and other things that you're going to do. You've spoken extensively about land, about course design, and those types of things. Are we going to have a rivalry among the best course designers and the best courses from our players that aren't necessarily top competitors anymore? Is that going to happen with you and others?
I mean, I wouldn't think about it like that exactly, but if I do anything, I want to try to be the best at it, and that includes, course design in the future. I feel like I put so much time and effort into being a professional disc golfer that there's so many other things that I want to put my time and energy into, such as course design and teaching people how to play disc golf and running clinics and stuff. But sometimes I feel that there's so much time invested into trying to make it to the next tournament and then making sure that you get the proper amount of practice that, once I put my faith and energy into anything, I think it'll pay off.
Well, and speaking of being the best and faith and energy, just before you sat down, you were looking at some footage from earlier in the year, and I quote, you said, "How do I win Waco and then play like blank every other event since then?" End quote. What has it been? That was an incredible performance, but you said you don't even feel like you've sniffed the top 10 since then. What's happening?
It kind of blows my mind that I was able to play so good at the beginning of the year, and I don't feel like I tried to take my foot off the gas pedal at all. I just felt like maybe the competition is really stiff, and it is harder and harder to win at the top level of this sport right now. But I know that I have it in me. I know that I believe in myself, and eventually I think that I'll come out on top again, whether it's this weekend or another tournament next weekend. I'll keep working hard and, put my head down and keep working for it. That's what it takes.
Well, and speaking of competition, you had one other thought. You seem to follow a lot of the other professional sports, such as wrestling, boxing, and whatnot. You have any call-outs?
You want to take it there already, Terry? You always want to get me going. You want to get me fired up about these people that are talking about me. We already know where that's going. I
wanted to ask about.
I don't want to dive into it.
You said that Ben Askren and some others, you're ready to wrestle.
I felt like I should have been invited out to Ben Askren's property. I mean, everybody knows that I love UFC. They invited a bunch of other guys, so yeah, I was a little bit butthurt. I didn't get out to the celebrity match. What, I take 56 in the World Championships and everybody wants to forget about me? Because that's how it felt. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee if I'd have taken first place, I'd have been at the celebrity match. So that just means that I got to work a little bit harder. I don't want people to forget who I am, and I want to live out my legacy, and I want to put some more wins on the board. That's why I came here. That's why I showed up to this tournament. I believe that I have a chance to win, and I'm going to go for it.
Sometimes it's about what have you done for us lately. Here's another question coming in, though.
Nico, just kind of take us through that last hole of last year, from the tee to the green, the feeling when you said, "Cale, give me the bear." Like, I want to hear about that hole for me.
Well, I knew it was a tight race. I feel like everybody on that card was playing to an exceptional level that day, and I was playing with, the elite players in our game right now. I had a chance to win. I knew that. I knew I had to put myself in position because I was also playing with some long throwers. So, if you throw 450, 550-foot hyzers, some of these holes become easier. So I knew I had to, put some heat on that first shot, and I positioned myself right where I wanted to be. Not too far left, not too far right. Just walking up to that shot, I'm thinking, you're going to win this, I kept putting that thought in my head, like, you're going to take this, you're going to do it. And it really comes down to your confidence a lot of times, and I instilled that confidence in my mind that you're going to pull this off, you're going to get a victory. I feel very similar this year. I've got some practice rounds in. I feel comfortable on the course right now. I feel that I've got some discs in my bag that are really tuned in. But yeah, going back, I was just watching it. People posted some highlights. Some of the Disc Golf Pro Tour put some things out, and Disc Golf Ledger's over there doing some highlights for the ESPN stuff. But yeah, it helped me kind of relive that moment, and yeah, reassure me that it's possible, that I can pull it off. And when I watched that shot, I hyzed it all the way and put it on the green, and I got a nice little roll that went back towards the basket. All I was thinking is just make this putt, Nikko. If you're ever going to make one, make this one. And, luckily it went right in the heart, and I was able to, raise my hands up and feel victorious once again in my disc golf career. And I feel very fortunate to be where I'm at. I got, one more Pro Tour on the board this year, but I'm surprised that I haven't been able to win another one, So I know I got it within myself. I'm just going to keep that belief and keep working hard. I got to do some putting today, put a little more practice in, but just kind of keep the faith and keep my confidence high this weekend. I feel that I'm in a good mindset right now. I'm trying to just feel comfortable within myself and within my mind and within my body. Just got to breathe out there and one shot at a time and just let it fly. Just got to let it fly.
Yeah, a lot of hockey players, when they if they're fortunate enough to win the Stanley Cup, they say that they finally get to lift the cup and they're like, oh my goodness, this is heavy.
Right.
How was lifting the bear? How was that?
It was pretty heavy. It's heavier than it looks. I could hardly get that thing above my head. I'm hoping Cale makes some smaller bears that people can take home with them. You know what I'm saying? So come on, Cale, make us some bears we could take home and put on the trophy wall, buddy. You take that big bear home.
All right, that's all we've got from Nikola Castro. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Hey,
Unless
yeah.
you've got something else.
I mean, all
you always
those
do. Come on.
guys that are on the, when people make a post about me, it seems there's always somebody that has something negative to say about me. Shut your mouth, seriously, or show up to the disc golf course and bring it. That's it.
Nikola Castro. Joining us now is our five-time world champion, Paige Pierce. And Paige, you won this event last year. We just heard some fiery words from the MPO champion and Nikola Castro. Let's open. Do you have anything you need to say to all the fans out there or challengers?
Oh my gosh. I don't want to get into anything like that. But it is, he means well. He means well. It is hard to hear that stuff, like he was talking a lot about confidence and how much that means into your play. And, you can feel so confident and then read some words online and other people's doubts or other people's emotions seep into you. So I totally understand his sentiment, although it was a little bit aggressive. I won't say anybody needs to shut their mouth, but no, we are humans and we do feel those things. So.
Well, then I'll start with, you won this event by 13 strokes last year in its first year. Was that a different Paige Pierce than what you are today, or is it the same woman sitting in front of us?
I hope I'm a different Paige Pierce. I think that a lot of people are so afraid of change, and myself included. I have been so stubborn and resistant to like change, and realizing lately that it is good to grow and to change as a human. So, as far as the competitor in me, I hope that person's grown as well. I know that I'm still learning new shots every day. I'm learning new mental tricks on the course. So, as far as like the margin of victory, hopefully that doesn't change. Hopefully I can still come out with a strong performance. And, last year, my key to success was my putting. I missed one putt inside the circle. Hole 4 of the first round was my only inside circle miss. So the putting was where I was the strongest. And coming off of last weekend, that's where I feel personally that I lost the tournament. So, if I can try to channel last year's event or U.S. Women's where I went 100% in the circle, I think I'm going to have a good chance out here on this course. It suits well to my game.
And I was going to ask about your confidence, and was there anything this week that you did, because you recognize and feel like it was your putting that maybe lost that event for you last weekend. So was there anything specific that you did this weekend? Was that more time on the green, less time on the green, anything physical in terms of what you adjusted for your putt?
Yeah, mostly more time on the green. When I'm in tournament situation, I know you only have that one putt. If you miss, you can't just sit there and practice again. But I kind of sit there and look at it and think, okay, why did I miss that? And I analyzed my putts from last weekend. Every putt that I missed was left side. So I just really wasn't getting my fingers at the pole. So it was like a little bit of timid putting. I wasn't quite extending. So that's kind of what I was focusing on yesterday in practice, just making sure that I'm lining up at the pole. And if I miss right, but at least give it the chance to get into the basket. If I'm putting timidly, it's not going to work out well for me. So yeah, honestly, just spending more time at the green on each hole that I was practicing, spending an extra 5 minutes on the basket, just feeling more and more comfortable with the basket. And even though today the conditions aren't, from I don't know what Seth's official role is, but the health, the Pro Tour health person and my coach, he's advised that, it's not good to go outside today. It is actually like hazardous. So they supplied us with N95 masks, so I'm not going to play a practice round and exert myself, but I am going to still go putt and just feel more and more repetitions going into the change, seeing successful putts come, so that in the tournament, that's what I'm remembering.
And at this time last year, you already had 3 events where you had won by double digits. It seemed like things were just rolling for you. But this year, we're seeing more winners than ever. We're seeing so much parity in the FPO division. Talk a little bit about who's challenging you and what that means that you don't have these, these multiple double-digit wins right now.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to even name them all. We've had so many winners this year, and it's something that's so beautiful, especially for the fans of disc golf. And those players that are winning are now developing more confidence. And so then when they go into these events, then they have this like, oh, I've done it once, I can do it again. And that is what we need as a sport, to have more people battling at the top. So I think that there's lots of people that I would say are challenging me right now. I think Kona Panis is due for a win. I think this is her type of golf out here. Of course, this is a good course for Catrina, long distance shots. And I think that we're going to see hopefully a tight battle, but I think anybody could win. It's really what Nico said. I want to echo. It's all about the confidence that you're feeling, and if you can shut that doubt off and all of those negative thoughts and just roll forward on the confidence.
There have been a few changes since last year's layout when you were first here. Anything jump out at you in terms of the physical changes out on the course?
Yeah, the front 9 is quite a bit different. Like I would say, I think 7 of the 9 holes are different. So Cale did a really good job, and his whole team, of expanding the versatility in the golf out here. When you thought of the preserve before, you just kind of thought of a long open course with not very much OB. But now when you think of it, and you think of the front 9 holes being very much so in the woods, you have that element of, okay, did I not play good on the front? It's okay because the back's different, or vice versa. You could come off swinging on the front, and then when you get to the back, just start spraying. So I love the versatility in disc golf courses. I think it sets up well for lots of different lead changes. So I think that, you know, having those wooded elements and the low ceilings and the tunnel shots, it's going to really add to this course this year.
And one of my last ones is that we spoke of the parity. We saw Kristen Tatar win last weekend, for instance, over you. She, I believe, is making this her last event before she's heading back over to Estonia. Of course, you love battling with her, but you'd like to beat her. Do you have any mixed emotions about seeing some of her European players and when we might have them back, and what it's meant for you to battle against her?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's something that I'd been looking forward to for a long time. I spoke with her this off season, and I was like, are you coming? Are you coming? How can we help? Like, how can we get you here? And I know Jeff Spring in the Pro Tour was on top of trying to help in that process as well, seeing if they could get like sports visas or something. She ended up finding a way to get here, and it was just like instant excitement, you know, like, yes, like America gets to see her play again, because everyone's talking about Evelina and Henna, and people seem to have forgotten about Kristen. So now to see people posting like, yeah, she's my favorite player, that is why she came here, you know? I'm sure lots of reasons. She wanted to compete again, but like that is what is so good about just being on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You're getting that visibility and you are getting to compete at the highest level. So yes, I miss Henna and Evelina big time, but I'm so glad that Kristen got to come here and has had the success she's had. I know she had to leave her daughter and she's been missing her so much. So it's great that she got some wins under her belt, 3 wins now on U.S. soil in just a short time frame, and to make this trip worth it for her. And I chatted with her, and she said, yes, this is her last event here right now, but she probably is going to come back for U.S. Women's, USCGC, and, you know, I encouraged her, she has to come out for that next part of the season. Like, even if it's not this year, next year you got to make it out for the later tournaments like Delaware and Maple Hill and Green Mountain, the tight woods. That suits really well for Kristen's game, and I think it's something she's going to come back for sure.
All right, now this is really my last question. Is that bear as heavy as Nikko says it is, or is he a wimp?
Yeah, I don't recall trying to lift it, so maybe it was almost as tall as me, so maybe that was just like, okay, Paige, don't lift this thing up. So yeah, maybe I'll try to lift it this year, hopefully.
All right, that's Paige Pierce trying to defend her title here at the Preserve. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Joining us now is our Disc Golf Pro Tour CEO and Jeff Spring. And Jeff, last year we were coming back. This was our second event after our restart.
Yep.
We had COVID mandates and things we had to take care of. But now here we are wearing masks for a totally different reason. What's going on here?
Well, there's some fires in northern Minnesota and Canada that are causing a high level of smoke to be basically blown down here. And right now Clearwater has the highest level of warning in terms of air quality. And we've informed the players. We are monitoring it closely. Tomorrow it's supposed to drop to moderate, which would allow us to proceed with the tournament without any interruption. At this point in time, we're looking at like 80-90% that we'll be able to proceed as is. But obviously, if it becomes worse or stays at a really hazardous level of air quality, we're going to make adjustments to make sure that the player safety is first and foremost.
And with regards to player safety and those types of adjustments, we saw a few weeks ago when we were in Iowa, there's consulting. There's other people that are involved with the decision-making process to the player safety. Maybe break down so everyone knows out there, who's all involved with that and what does it mean?
Yeah, well, we've hired Seth Munsey to be our full-time safety director. He's the director of health and sports performance for the tour. And really the decision lays in his hands. We try to put it in, the hands of someone who's responsible and focused only on safety instead of several other factors. Of course, we consult with the tournament directors. We consult with, myself and our core management team, Brian Cole. But at the end of the day, some things are cut and dry. Like if lightning is, within 15 miles, our policy is that we're going to suspend play. And there's several, factors to look at across a safety spectrum, depending on what's happening. We haven't really dealt with this one before, but Seth has. He's on top of it. He's monitoring the air quality through a government website, and I think we always want to consult with the players as well. We have a great group of touring pros who dedicate their life to the sport, and so we want to make sure that we hear all the opinions and factor in their concerns as well. So on this one, if we fall below a hazardous level, we'll probably proceed. But we have a core group of our management team that usually weighs in. But when it comes to safety, we rely on Seth.
And of course, trying to remain optimistic about all of it. But what is a contingency plan? Is that a possibility of an event just trimming to 2 rounds? What are some of the things that get factored into those decisions? Yeah,
I think 54 holes is the standard to run an event at this level. So we have the option of, suspending play until the air quality, it's going to be kind of like hazardous or severe weather, until air quality comes down to a level where we feel, we can move out. Of course, we want to make sure everybody feels comfortable. That's why, we monitor lightning strikes and, have different resources through government websites to monitor, how far away, what the air quality level is, how far away lightning is. I think that we would treat it the same way. We're planning on either it's supposed to be declining. We've watched it fall throughout the day, and it's about to fall into hopefully just high risk and then moderate risk. Hopefully it gets to low. But we expect to start tomorrow in lower moderate risk and then proceed. If it's higher than that, we may wait. We may cancel the round, but right now it's looking good.
And now you mentioned consulting. Last year, Cale and his crew stepped up big time just to have, provide us a venue for us to get things started again, shift in schedule and all of the adjustments that took place. What kind of adjustments were made with you and Cale and the rest of the crew from last year's preparations to this year's? Namely, I think of course design. Was there anything else that really jumps out for you, and how involved are you in that process?
Yeah, well, last year I think it was a fantastic tournament, one of the most exciting events of the year. Our highest rated event, most watched live stream of the year, I believe. And I think that was in large part because of the exciting play on the course. So I'll just speak to that for a minute. In baseball, people always talk about how we're going to get more runs scored. High scoring in the NBA and in football leads to more fan engagement and excitement. And here we had people going low. And a lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked to watch it. And I know it was also like a very discussed topic throughout the message boards and social media. Like, is this good? Is this bad? It had a lot of fan engagement. And Cale has a really strong vision for his design and where he likes to take course design, what he likes to do. Does not involve a lot of OB. So in terms of the process in the off season, Cale kept me up to date on what was changing. I gave him my feedback at the end of last year. We checked in a couple times, but he's steering the ship, and I agree with a lot of these changes, if not all of them. They really took the course to a new level in terms of adding in a few more wooded holes, which we know we're going back and forth between, like, hey, how are we going to make these courses really challenging? Length, OB, wooded nature, tight fairways. Those are all ways to do it. Here, we've added the element of, tighter lines on a few holes. 4, I think hole 5 come to mind, some of the changes there, and then the length of hole 9, comes to mind. So there's different ways to challenge without OB, and I think that the great part of the tour is that we go to all different types of venues. We have ball golf courses that provide a certain type of challenge. We have really tight woods that provide a certain type of challenge, and we evolve through those courses throughout the tour. And so we really challenge our players with a whole different type of course from the start of the year to the end of the year. Hornet's Nest is extremely wooded for the championship that we've been at the last few years, whereas we have really, really open courses as well. So I think it tests every part of the player's game throughout the year, the tour. That's why those tour standings are, you see the cream rise to the top of who's got every shot in their bag and can play every type of disc golf. That's the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's going to challenge every single part of your game.
Well, and let's face it, when we're here, we all know birdies are fun to capture. They're even more fun to watch sometimes. So we'll see how this year's adjustments, what that plays into, and what ultimately that does to the score. And then one of my last topics for you is we've seen some announcements, the collaboration with ESPN, and some more large broadcast releases. Maybe clarify or explain to anyone what they're going to see here on their cable screen or otherwise coming up soon.
Yeah, we're actually going to put out an update to the broadcast time for the Portland Open show on ESPN2 this evening. We got it locked in. It has changed. It's going to be Monday, August 2nd at 8 p.m. instead of Wednesday, August 4th. So we're going to start campaigning and promoting that change. We're also going to announce another hour of disc golf content on ESPN2, which I'm doing, I guess, right now. We're going to have a best of show, so best of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and disc golf, and it's going to be basically a highlight show. It's going to be integrated into the weekend of coverage on the Ocho that they do, which, we considered whether or not we would do that. And I think anytime we can put an hour of disc golf highlights in front of a big national audience, get it shared on social, get it used in the top 10, and be a part of, a large viewership contingent. We thought that was a good thing, and we're curating and putting together all the content with some of our partners, and we think it's going to represent the sport really well. Of course, the Ocho has a lot of different coverage, from some sports that are, not really professional sports and some sports that are. So we're excited to be part of that, and I think it's going to be a compelling hour and get a lot more people watching disc golf.
All right, I think that's all we've got, unless you have anything else you need to that I didn't ask of you.
All I would say is that hour is going to be on Friday the 6th on ESPN2. We'll announce more details on that shortly. And then in regards to the course changes that we were discussing, last year a lot of people went low. I think it was partially because we didn't have a lot of wind. I'm hoping for wind now to kind of clear out the smoke. But also to see its effect out here. Cale has talked a lot about how there's almost always wind on these courses. So with the course changes, potentially some wind to blow out the smoke and add a little bit of teeth to the course, I think we're going to see a little bit higher scores this year.
What's the winning number?
I get the winning number at probably 35, 36-ish.
All right, you heard it here. Jeff Spring, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks, Terry.
Joining us now is two-time world champion Catrina Allen. Kat, how you feeling?
Good. A little sad about the smoke, but maybe it's a secret blessing to rest today.
And that was going to be my question:
Yeah.
is how is that affecting your practice time? You know, and are you comfortable out here? But today, I don't think there's any players out on the course practicing at all.
No.
What did that do to your schedule?
I mean, so we just went and found something to do indoors to stay moving, and but I think, I mean, like I said, I think the rest day will be just fine. Actually, like 5 or 6 years ago, I took every day before the tournament off, and it was a really good season. So maybe it'll be a reminder to, just mentally and physically get away from the disc for a day.
Last year, you finished runner-up here at this event. We just heard of some of the course changes and some alterations. Anything that jumps out at you that you particularly love or that you find especially challenging? Is there anything about the course that feels very different for you and how you'll attack it?
I do like the changes. I think it makes it very difficult. And I always love another par 5 or an opportunity to score when there's multiple shots thrown. I don't mind if we go low, but I do appreciate some more par 4s and par 5s. And I think the change on form is crazy harder. I think I was throwing like a putter approach, and now I'll actually be able to hit a gap and probably have to throw a mid or a fairway depending on where I'm at. And then, yeah, I am very excited for the changes.
Well, and speaking of which, you're someone that brings, of course, all the tools, all the resources to the game. We see you throwing backhands, forehands. You're one of the FPO players that's probably the most proficient in throwing a roller. Do you see yourself relying on that to go after the extra distance out here? What are some of those tools that you'll bring?
Yeah, definitely found some places for some rollers. That'll depend on the wind too, though, because I know I played when it was dead calm, and then on the par 5s it was a ripping headwind, and that's not ideal for a roller, but could make it happen. So yeah, and I think that's why I also like the course. I'm throwing putter off the tee, driver off the tee, mid off the tee. There's some places I could probably throw a sidearm, but I'll stick to throwing the turnover.
Of course, Minnesota, your home roots, the feels, the vibes, the camaraderie. This is where it all began for you. Explain what the Minnesota disc golf community is like and what it's meant to you and you getting started with the sport.
Yeah, so long story short, before I even played disc golf, I actually had the opportunity to go up and watch the Minnesota Majestic at Blue Ribbon Pines. And my friends from Sioux Falls had asked to be on Cale's card. And I got to watch Cale shoot the hot round at Blue Ribbon. And I was just like, he was just like, let's going. And I'm like, where did the disc even go? And what is happening? And had the opportunity to just be a part of the whole event and the final 9 and all those things. And then 1 year later, I came back and won as an amateur and got sponsored by Dan Jacobs and Parked, and Cale was sponsored by Parked, so it was just like this huge deal for me. And and then I did live in Sioux Falls at the time, and my course flooded, so I would come up and play Sundoggy League, if you will, and I played some like Wednesday night glow leagues and things like that. But so I have a lot of, it's where everything started, and a lot of support, and got to do the news this morning, or an interview for one of the news stations, and then my Pipestone County Star put out a huge article where I was like the feature for my World Championships. So I am feeling all of the love and support for sure.
Well, and speaking of the World Championships and the aftermath of that, you're as fierce of a competitor as there is out there. We're a few weeks removed from the Worlds. Yes, you have the crown, but have you kind of pushed all that aside now and you're just moving forward with business as usual?
Yeah. Like last week I said, there's a couple things I'd like to fix in my game or maybe just make better. Like you said, my sidearm, I love my sidearm for standstill, scramble, upshots. I just want to get out of that comfort zone and start throwing it off the tee. I was kind of inspired by Kristen last week and how well she was throwing hers. She told me that she was inspired by my accuracy, so maybe we can help each other out there. But and then something I've noticed in these afternoon, later tee times, I find myself, like I remember last week I was putting and their crowd was clapping, and I literally was like, oh, I wonder if Eagle just won. And then I putted and missed and was like, oh my God. for years we've played in the morning, and so I'm still kind of struggling in some of those rounds. I feel like maybe I don't have the perfect routine in the morning because I find myself for like 4 or 5 holes where I kind of check out, if you will, or not as motivated. But maybe working on some new things in my game will help with that as well.
Yeah, and would you attribute that then to some mental focus?
Yeah, maybe,
going
just-
in addition to some physical timing?
Something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just remember thinking, I'm always reflecting on the weekend and what can I improve on and where did I lose strokes and what was I doing. And I just remember a couple times there was just like a 4 or 5 hole stretch where I just felt almost like unmotivated. It was very bizarre. And so I don't know if that's just the grind of the season or 12 years on tour or 11 years on tour or whatever. But yeah, definitely got to remind myself that, however I got to figure that out to focus through the whole round.
Well, and to play into both reflection and motivation, 2 words you just used, we're seeing more parity, more FPO challengers and champions this year than we've ever seen before. Of course, yourself included in that. But having Kristen Tatar here and seeing so much parity, what does that mean to you, again, as such a fierce competitor and athlete, as we're seeing so many different women take the podium?
I mean, I love it. It just means as someone who, likes to do all those things, that just kind of makes me stay on track with my discipline and all the things that I do, and that it is really important. And I think I've had competitors say that they're, like Kristen was saying, she was lifting in the off season or whatever, and whether she did that for her own legs or because she knew I do it or whatever, it's just awesome to see people or FPO players in general just, like I said, I had someone say, I took an ice cold shower because I heard you say something about that and it sucked, but I'm going to keep trying it, and just things like that. But I mean, if you think of like 2011, 12, what would we have? Sometimes like 7 women at a tournament this size. And so I'm just happy to see a lot more women playing, and always happy when the level is being brought up, because I'd always rather win playing my best golf than, say, bogey golf or just mediocre golf.
And last question from me is, what does your best golf look like this weekend?
My best golf? Like score-wise or just?
Score or just, execution. What does that mean for you this weekend? What do you think that results in?
I'm going to have to say I'm just going to have to get in that good mental place where I'm just really focused, the mind is quiet, and enjoying the day, enjoying the atmosphere. And I think that's going to be, I'm not going to say easy, but I'm in Minnesota and I love it here, and I'll be excited to see old friends or fans and things like that. So I'm just going to focus on that.
All right, I think that's all we have, unless anyone else has another one. Catrina Allen,
Okay.
best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.
Joining us now is our assistant tournament director and Cale Leiviska. And Cale, we're on your home turf. We're at the Preserve. How does that feel?
It feels great. We've been doing so much setup and prep for, really for months and months, but essentially the last few weeks. So, to see everybody here, see my peers here, it's really what it's all about. It makes me very happy.
At this time last year, we were just getting things started. You had 2 courses in, and then we really had a hybrid to create the tournament course. But since then, you've added a 3rd course. Are people going to see some of that course? What are some of those changes that we should expect here this weekend?
Yeah, there is some significant changes, especially on the front 9. Last year, when we leased the golf course itself, it was for the most part pretty open. And so the 2 courses that we built at the Preserve were more open, more championship level courses. So we wanted to have some technical elements and kind of make something like more family friendly for the beginner. So this winter we were actually able to lease another 50 acres that was mostly like wooded, forested land. And that was important for me for making the Blackberry course to kind of have a little bit more balance. I thought that's kind of what the course was missing last year. I personally love playing in the woods. Being from Minnesota, a lot of our best courses are wooded. So once we got this new lease, I was able to tweak some of the existing holes and then add some completely new holes that definitely have some more wooded, technical elements.
Get into the mentality just a moment about course design for you and how passionate, how excited you are about it. What is it about course design, and what are some of the maybe signatures of a Cale design?
First off, I think I would like to think that the signature of my design would be just balance. I just think that the balance of a course is really important, and I don't just mean balance of like open and wooded, but just overall balance of variety of throws, left to right, right to left, straight, short, long. I'd like to think that's what I try to accomplish when I'm doing a design. But I guess why I love it is, working with the city or private landowner and being essentially handed the keys to the property. It's like a blank canvas, and I've been playing for so many years and have played so many courses around the world, and I get to pull from a lot of experience from a lot of the stuff that I've seen and what I like and don't like, and I kind of it's just a large responsibility that I appreciate too. Just knowing that for years and decades, hopefully after the courses get put in, about how many people are gonna enjoy the course. Maybe this will be the first time someone ever plays disc golf is at one of these courses. It's a good responsibility, and I just something I love to do.
You were talking about how you acquired 50 more acres to develop yet another course, yet at this time last year, I felt like disc golf was almost still on a trial basis here on the property. Clearly, the relationship has strengthened and things are looking good. Are we going to see disc golf here for the indefinite future?
Yeah, I think we definitely will. And part of the reason that we were able to do that so fast with this additional land is because we kind of became close with a lot of the landowners around here. And we actually, the house that we rented last year, right on site, the owners of that land happen to own all these woods around, and they're technically on sale, but they've been on sale for like 20 years, so it doesn't look like they're going to be going anywhere. So they weren't using them. I just asked if we could, go in there and do something. He pretty much said, we're not doing anything with it. If it gets sold, it's probably going to be developed anyway, so you guys can cut down whatever trees. You can essentially do whatever you wanted to do for a very fair price. So, just the relationship building and stuff that we've done in the last year really, paid off in that regard.
Well, Clearwater is a relatively small city outside of the Twin Cities. What has it meant for the community? Have you had conversations with community officials or parks people or any of the other private landowners? What has it meant to bring disc golf here and have it explode the way it has with this success?
Well, so we acquired what was a golf course, okay? So it was already zoned for this recreational activity. We got a lot of pushback right away from a lot of the community, honestly, from people who felt like they were losing their golf course. And, some people were pretty they were nice about it, and some people were a little bit ruder. But what I tried to tell everyone was, we're going to try to, we're going to try to improve the land, if anything. The golf courses use a lot of chemicals, a lot of irrigation, a lot of unnatural things that, I wanted to be able to involve the community and make it a natural place for them to still be able to come walk and walk their dogs. And so while we did get a lot of pushback, the community has been overall pretty good. The city, the city of Clearwater is kind of like a thoroughfare for a lot of the Minnesota cabin folks traveling up to the lakes and stuff. So there's already a huge travel center, so they actually do see a good amount of traffic in this town, even though it's a town of maybe a couple thousand people. But yeah, at first the city council, there is a course in Clearwater. So when I said that what I wanted to do, they were telling me, we already have a disc golf course. We don't think this is going to be a viable thing. And I tried to explain to him, that I'm trying to make something different than your public course. I want to make a destination course that people will be coming from essentially all over the world to play. And they definitely thought I was crazy at first, but through the event last year, through what's happening now, through all the traffic that we get just on a regular, summer weekend, I think everyone's starting to come around.
Well, they didn't believe in Cale Leiviska yet. That was their problem, and here we are. So moments before you sat down, I was shocked to learn you're actually not competing this weekend. Were you planning on it, and was I just confused, or what went into the decision of you not playing? A
few weeks ago, I kind of had the feeling that I was not going to be playing, but I was kind of just kept my name on the registration list because I was, thinking if I had everything, completely set up and I was feeling perfect about everything, maybe I could still jump in, but at this point, I want to play. That's why I'm in disc golf, is because I'm a competitor and love playing. I still consider myself a great player. So it's really tough for me, but with the Preserve Championship now, it's so much bigger than I am at this point, and I see the potential for what the tournament can be and for how impactful it is for us to be on the Pro Tour. And I just think, for one, I think I would do a better job of being everywhere at once if I didn't have to think about playing as well. And if I was playing, I definitely wouldn't be focused on winning the tournament. So I kind of decided not to. And finally, I just thought I would probably enjoy myself a little bit more if I was not playing and was just able to kind of take it all in and make sure everything was going okay. I'm kind of like, pretty much the only one that understands the full scope of the property and the parking and all the spectators and everything going on, so I just figured it was probably best that I didn't.
Well, we're excited for you to play host, which everyone in Minnesota already does, but with the disc golf community here, it's going to be incredible. The last thing I have for you is we talked about the course changes, the design, and how it might make things more difficult. You said that you thought Jeff Spring was right on the nose with about 35, 36 under. Any guesses about the score, or did he nail it already?
Yeah, I think we definitely made the course more difficult as far as like scoring this year, just with the changes that we made to hole 4. Even hole 1 and 2 might be just, even if it's a half stroke harder on 2, which it could be. 4 is significantly more difficult. 5 is more difficult. I think, we did our league last week, and it was kind of the first time for everyone to play the course, and I shot an 11 under and ended up winning league by like 5. But obviously that's not playing against the best players in the world. So I think, even if it's very windy, someone's still going to get hot out there and hit double digits, every round. So, yeah, I think that's pretty accurate what Jeff guessed.
Yeah, a couple more questions here on the back end. One, a lot of red bark out there, a lot of attention to like small aesthetic details. Could you talk about the mindset there? Like, I even saw a rock in the middle of a fairway surrounded by mulch. Could you talk about like the work put in there?
Yeah, for sure. So, I wanted to do a ton of mulch this year. Ray Jordan with Blue Ribbon Pines is kind of my inspiration there. He just puts in so much care to his course and has kind of taught me a lot. But also, we're in like one of the most severe droughts in Minnesota history, and to other people, the course probably still looks beautiful, but to me, just seeing all like the dead grass and yellow fairways and stuff, it just kills me. So I thought, that's why we went just overboard with the red mulch, just to create more color contrast and kind of like brighten things up, even though like a lot of the grass is dying right now. And so that was kind of, we actually ordered like, a lot of mulch, like $1,000+ worth of mulch last week. And we used it all, and I was like, we definitely got to have more. So we made another order this week. So we definitely went overboard, but yeah, definitely thought it would spruce things up a little bit.
Cool. And then last one, one of the latest new holes in the round, hole 9. I believe it's 9, the 1,500 footer, $14.99. That's not a very Cale Leiviska hole, though. Talk about the mindset.
I don't
in
know.
designing that.
I've been working out a little bit lately, but no, it's definitely not for me. Well, for one, we needed to get from one place to another, and the hole that we had last year, I just didn't love it. And we had this beautiful tee area that's kind of like landscaped, and I thought it would be good to use. And what we were doing with like our whole pavilion area is kind of going to be like the master viewing spot. We got the bleachers and beer gardens and food, and the fairway is so wide. I mean, we're talking probably like 350 feet in the widest part. So I just wanted to have a hole where the biggest distance players can just completely throw as far as they can without having to really worry about much OB and just have like open parameters. And then people that have big rollers, the ground's pretty hard out there right now, so it's definitely not a hole that I made for myself. It was kind of more for the fans, and one that I thought was like, if there's only one on the course, I think most players can stomach it, even if they're kind of at a disadvantage. So that's what I was thinking with that.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have for you, Cale. I'll wrap it up for Terry, but thanks for your time so much.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. Thanks, Terry.
Joining us now is Missy Gannon. And Missy, out there on the tour week in and week out, you had probably a lengthy journey, a full 11, 12 hours to go from Michigan over here to Minnesota. Was that a quick turnaround for you, and what were the travels like?
We were thinking about trying to get here earlier and leaving Sunday evening. Decided that just, it's okay. We'll take our time, left Monday morning, and just kind of got here, went halfway through, and I think we got here around 1 or so on Tuesday. So I knew that my practice time was going to get a little bit cut into, but I figured I would just try to make the most of the practice rounds that I did take, and I think it worked out, but it was a very long drive.
So how did your practice round feel out there? We know that people aren't able to go out today, the day before the event, but how was your practice when you were out there?
It was great. I mean, yesterday I made the most of yesterday. Definitely not as many practice rounds as I would love to get in before a tournament, but I focused on a lot of the changes and just tried to remember what I did on the other holes that didn't quite change as much. So I did play 2 practice rounds yesterday. I had planned on playing another one today, but that didn't happen because I didn't want to take the chance of I get headaches pretty easily, so I didn't want to have to deal with that or have it leak into maybe tomorrow. So I figured, okay, just take a little bit of rest, and it's actually starting to look like it's clearing up a little bit more. I mean, this morning it was definitely way more hazy, so maybe I'll get out there this evening, but I'm not sure yet. So, but yeah, like I said, I just really focused on like holes 4 and 5 and some of the holes that I think are going to be some score separators for FPO and probably MPO as well, and just focused my energy there.
Last year, Paige Pierce was our champion. She took it down, and you finished 15 back of her over the 3 rounds. Do you see this year being tighter, and what adjustments are you going to make to go out there and challenge her for that title? Yeah,
I mean, I do think that the changes are going to challenge us in a different way than last year. I think holes 4 and 5 are exponentially more difficult than the previous holes 4 and 5. Holes 4 and 5 previously, last year, I think were pretty much, get the birdie on those ones. And this year, I think hole 4 is still birdieable with 2 really great shots. And then hole 5, I don't know that we'll see too many from the FPO division. I don't want to ever say none, but I think that if you walk away with a 4, you're going to feel really, really great for hole 5. So, I think that Paige is always able to make something happen, I'm sure. So I'm never going to count her out from winning by double digits. But yeah, I think that it's certainly harder this year. So we'll see.
So 3 weeks ago is when you took down Des Moines. And then last weekend, you were at your first big event back, being the D-Glow. You finished in 11th. Was it tough to get prepped for that? Were you overconfident? Were you underconfident? What led you to 11th last weekend, and what adjustments will you make this week?
I don't know. I think that I had some just some holes that I'm not really sure what happened at D-Glow, but I had a great time otherwise. And I think just being in the land of Discraft and meeting so many fans and kind of doing some extracurricular activities before the rounds and stuff like that, I wouldn't take those back for anything. So, perhaps that threw me off a little bit in my play, but who knows, really. I'd rather, meet everybody who's just so excited for us to be there and help out at the little vending area with Discraft and sign a bunch of discs and just meet everybody. So I don't know. It just every weekend's different, and again, I just need to try to focus really hard and have a solid game plan and just make my putts.
Well, and speaking of having that focus, 3 weeks ago when you took down that big event, is that in the distance now? I know for a lot of our players, taking a win like that, it almost takes a few days or even weeks to believe that you won it and to let it soak in. But now, is that a distant memory?
Honestly, it felt like it was. But then when I got to D-Glow, everyone was congratulating me because it was the most recent big event that had happened. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And they kept saying, like, last weekend, but it was really 2 weekends before that. But so it kind of reminded me, like, wow, yeah, this is like the first time I've seen a bunch of fans and people that, since Des Moines that have were congratulating me. So that was really, really nice. And but yeah, I think it's a little bit more in the distance, now. But I think I have to try to focus all of my energy on the next one. And I'm still really proud and really happy for myself. And yeah, I just want to hopefully feel that feeling again.
All right, this is a little bit specific, and we'll get into the weeds just a little. And tell us about, are there any particular discs that you're going to be relying on, or molds of, you don't have to necessarily name the discs, but
Sure.
Types of discs. Is this going to be a big driving weekend for you? Importance of putting, of course, shows up every single weekend, but where do you feel like you're really going to be focused in terms of your specific throws out there this weekend?
Yeah, actually, Tom and I were kind of joking. He was like, well, I guess you just have to bring one disc out there, because I'm literally throwing the Thrasher like every hole. So, I have a couple that are different stabilities, but that is a high-speed driver. And, yeah, just trying to, there's some big holes out there, and just watching them fly and getting that full flex is really cool. I'm actually on hole 5. I think I might be going putter. So we'll see. And that's a par 4, and it's like 695 feet or something like that. So, but that's how difficult that hole is. But yeah, I will be throwing some big distance shots for sure.
All right. Well, that keeps it easy for all the commentators and all the viewers if everybody already knows what you're throwing out there. I think that's about all we have. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we cut you loose?
No, I won't yell at anybody.
All right. That's Missy Gannon. We wish you the best of luck this week.
Thank you.
joining us now is Nate Sexton. And Nate, this is the first big event we're seeing you at since the Pro World Championships. That was almost 5 weeks ago. Does it feel like it?
Yeah, I'd say it feels just dead on 5 weeks, roughly. Yeah, it was a good time at home. Some time to recharge a little bit. And yeah, happy to be back out here, though.
A number of fans are certainly wondering, what does it take to bring you out to an event to compete versus other duties, as you've been picking up more live commentary? Of course, there's the Joe Miz interaction, but what decides that for you, where you're going to compete and where you're
There's a whole lot of factors. First and foremost is just kind of where do I want to play. Courses I like, events that I know, events that are important to Innova. Those are going to be high on my list. Then it's like my wife's schedule, my parents' schedule, because they got to come up and, like, my mom is there watching my daughter right now. She's back in daycare, but my wife's work hours are outside the hours that daycare is available. So those all kind of play in. And then 2 weeks is basically my max time away, so I can do this back to back, like a preserve and a ledge stone, and then later this year a Green Mountain and a Maple Hill, whatever it's called, MVP. Those two back to back. So when I can do those, that's awesome. But a lot of times, I can't stay out any longer than that because it's a lot to ask my parents to drive up and stay at my house for weeks and weeks on end.
And was there anything over the last 5 weeks since the World Championships? Is there anything in particular you've worked on? Are you going out to the course and trying to hone in or dial in anything?
No, nothing specific. Just trying to play golf and stay sharp. No real specific things. Just kind of trying to be familiar with my discs, because obviously Utah was like a totally different bag setup with the elevation. So putting some new discs in the bag, moving a lot of that stuff out, and just kind of making sure I know where those are going to fly would be about it.
Every one of our top professionals will say all the work really gets done out in a practice field, doing those types of repetitions. But I feel like you only do that to a certain degree, or to a certain maybe age or experience level.
Sure.
When you're at home, staying, tuned up and honed in, are you playing courses or are you going out to the field?
Mostly courses. I'll do field like maybe once when I'm about to leave for a tournament, just to like confirm my suspicions about which destroyer is more overstable than which, But mostly it's just playing courses for me, and just competing with friends, a little bit of practice putting, that kind of thing. But it's tough. I need to work out more. Getting out in the field and ripping shots, you definitely don't feel the same waking up the next day. It's a lot on the body at this stage in my career to go out and throw 30 or 40 power shots.
And speaking of this stage in your career, how do you stay motivated? Your stock continues to rise in a number of ways by all the things you're involved with. How do you stay focused and motivated to come out and compete against the best week in and week out when you are on the tour?
I mean, I guess it's kind of cliche to say, but it's like the best job in the world, really. I mean, I love to compete against the best. I feel so fortunate to be able to have that chance to play against the best, literally the best players on the planet in this sport that I love, and occasionally have a chance to fight for the win or even come out on top. That's like the best feeling that I've experienced in my life. So I'm a competitive guy. I don't know. It doesn't take a lot to motivate me to come and play on amazing courses against the best players in the world. That sounds like dream come true stuff.
You, of course, have a long, storied career over the last couple of decades, but since the World Championships and all the things you've been involved with, what are some of the things you've seen, maybe some of the fallout, some of the positive fallout, the good benefits, the chatter around disc golf, the shot, by James Conrad, those types of things. What are some of those things that you've experienced or witnessed over this last month?
It's hard. Tangibly, it's kind of hard, but I think it's just kind of the buzz in the air, the excitement, the messages from the fans, all the memes, all the people putting in effort to just kind of relive those moments and talk about that excitement. And it was a mind-blowing thing. I mean, we've been up and down it and talked about it a lot, but yeah, I've never seen personally a moment in sports in my life that took me out of my sanity for a second and just made me go, oh, because that's what all I was doing, was just kind of yelling and just couldn't believe it, and it was amazing. It was something I'll obviously never forget.
Well, let's speak of tangibles, and I think the internet would roast me if I didn't ask. Moments ago, maybe you don't even know this, some Firebirds dropped. Some of the Sexton Firebirds, of course, they sold out in seconds.
Of course.
I may have gotten a few more myself.
There you go,
But they
Terry.
did sell out in seconds. Speak to your fans for a moment that, they're just so frustrated because they can't get their hands on them. It's true. You don't even know when they're available. Is that right?
That's true. That's true. Here's what I know. Follow Innova Factory Store on Twitter. That's the way that it gets done. That's how these big dogs in the Firebird world play this game. I don't buy Firebirds, so I'm not on Twitter. You need to get on Twitter. If you want Firebirds bad, you need to get on Twitter. You don't need to follow anyone else. You need to turn on your notifications, and it's going to tell you when the Firebirds drop, and you're going to be able to get some. And I've been assured that there's going to be a lot more drops. They aren't sold out. Innova has a big team, but packaging up thousands and thousands and thousands of discs is not a small job. I think people take that for granted and go, why aren't there more? These guys their fingers are probably bleeding from packing these boxes. So shout out to all the guys working at the factory store trying their hardest to get these things out to the people. Shout out to all the people being patient and trying to get them. I think you will be able to get one for retail if you stay patient. I know you will be able to if you follow Factory Store on Twitter, because that seems to be the surefire way. So that's the long and the short of it.
Well, hopefully your fingers keep bleeding from cashing those Firebird checks.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say I'm so thankful, obviously. That disc has absolutely changed my life in ways that I never could have seen coming, and continues to surprise me year after year with the potential that it has. And that's a huge shout out to Innova for prioritizing production, to my fans, to everyone who throws them. Just took a hobby and turned it into a career that I can't believe that I am lucky enough to have. So thank you to all those people. And stay patient. You're going to get one.
Well, and speaking of your career, as you're going to go out and challenge this course, this is the first time you're seeing it. You weren't here last year for the event. What were the takeaways during practice? What should people expect from you?
Oh man, the course is a little soft, I'd say, on the soft side.
It's a Minnesota thing.
Whoa. Yeah. That was if you're a longtime fan, you'll get that joke. No, of course, it's fantastic. I was so proud and excited for Cale when this whole thing got announced. I've been competing with him for more than 15 years, and we share a lot of parallels. Like, obviously, I throw a lot of forehands and he throws a lot of backhands, but in terms of our age, our consistently great play, our lack of otherworldly distance, our preparation and reputation as smart golfers. He's a guy that I text with often, that I identify with, and somebody who I consider a good friend. So it was a huge priority for me to get here. I thought last year when COVID started, I was like, well, of course it'll be done by the Preserve. Didn't we all think it was going to take a lot less time than it did? And clearly we're still not totally out of the woods. But I thought for sure I would be here. But this was a number one, super high top priority place for me to get to, just because I want to show support for what Cale's doing here. I want to go down this same path. I'm picking his brain every chance I get. I know he's a busy guy right now, but I'm going, how many acres exactly is this? Hey, what do you do here? How did you do this? Can I get a tour of the entire property? Because this is the dream. I want to be able to have a venue that can host the tour of my own someday, probably on the West Coast. And who knows? I'm trolling Zillow all the time, hoping to see that perfect land and see that one that says 3 lakes and a stream and 120 acres or whatever it is. But that's the dream. So yeah, being here is awesome. I think the course is really, really fun. I think Cale did a great job with it's a player's course in that it's not you can tell it's not designed by somebody that just wants to make a ton of OB and make the players clench up all the time, which I think that's a fun style of golf to play. But I think that style is done a lot, and it's kind of fun to be out here and just, it's a course that's designed to see shots get thrown, and that's a fun thing to do as a player, to not have a whole ton of, it's not that it's not stressful. There's wind and there's water and there's out of bounds and it's long and there's gaps to hit, but there's some times where you're like, I'm going to throw my flippy one and I'm going to hammer this, and there's some courses that we play that do not allow that even one time all day. So I appreciate the chance to try to throw as far as I can a couple times. That's fun.
Well, you've talked about that vision, that long-term dream of the courses. You've talked about the parallels with you and Cale, and you and I spoke of it earlier in the year. So he got the property first. He got the courses in first. He got a Tesla before you. How are you catching up? When are you gonna surpass him?
Yeah, I don't know about surpass, but he's got a pretty special thing here, and I think the land prices are pretty favorable here compared to Oregon, Washington area. So it might be tough to surpass. Hey, let's temper our expectations. But yeah, keep buying those Firebirds. I'll do whatever I can. And yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for the future. I'm so proud of what he's been able to do. So happy to be here to experience it. I hope to play here as many years as possible. And yeah.
All right. If we don't have anything else, Nate Sexton, welcome to the Preserve. We're excited to watch you play this weekend. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys.
Joining us now is Hailey King. And Hailey, we're here in the Midwest. Last weekend we were in Michigan. This weekend the other side of Wisconsin, where you reside, over here in Minnesota. Does this feel like good Midwestern golf for you?
Yeah, it definitely feels like Midwestern golf. Not as many wood holes as I was expecting, but it's a beautiful course, and it definitely gives you the Midwestern feel.
Now, knowing that you reside roughly 5 or so hours from here, how often do you come over and play in Minnesota? You haven't had much experience doing that, have you?
No, I've played BRP once, and then I think that's it. That's the only time I've played in Minnesota.
Well, we'll find very similar culture, atmosphere. I feel like the disc golf community here is so warm and embracing and welcoming. I want to go back to last weekend just a little bit. It felt as if we saw a little bit of a roller coaster from you. At least that's what the scorecard showed. So I guess the follow-up to that is that what you felt it was?
Oh, yeah. My first round since Worlds was the day before the tournament, so I was just playing disc golf. I wasn't thinking too much of it as a tournament, so I was just out there having fun and just trying to make the best out of it.
Did you feel more relaxed or additional pressures, or that the pressures weren't there? What was it about going into, playing so little golf from Worlds up into that point? Doesn't seem like that's the recipe that a lot of other people followed, but that's your recipe. How'd that come about? Like, how did you arrive at that was your game plan?
I wasn't mentally prepared to be on the course, and I don't think I should have played D-Glow, but I wanted to play. It was Discraft Land, and it's an amazing course with amazing people and fans and everything, so I had to go out there for my own happiness, but I probably shouldn't have been out there disc golf-wise.
So maybe even just visiting without competing might have been an angle that you could have taken. Are you feeling better now? Or, that was a week ago. How are you feeling coming into today?
Feeling a little better, not too much, but definitely positive.
Is there anything about your game from a physical standpoint that you're either not comfortable with, or something that you tried to hone in this week or get dialed in to get ready, or do you feel like it was more of a mental state of mind?
I feel pretty good right now throwing the Frisbee. It's all in the mental right now.
And so what do you make of this course? Lots of open air, lots of space for you to throw forehands and backhands. What's kind of your game plan to attack this course out here, and how do you feel about the course?
I feel great. I've played 7 holes so far. We are going to go practice the round after this, so I'm going to obviously practice the rest of the holes, and I'll get a better game plan, but it seems pretty simple right now. So as long as I stay out of my head, everything should be good.
What are some of the things that you look for, knowing that you've only seen a third of this course? What are some of the things that you look for when you go out and try to dissect a course for the very first time? Is it landing zones? Is it prevailing winds? Any of that stuff, or how do you attack it?
Yeah, so I first look for OBs. I just want to know where the OB is, and that's my biggest worry. If I can shank a shot and be safe, great. But then next would be landing zones and then wind. But generally in the Midwest, the wind is pretty swirly, so usually just hoping anyways. So just basically look for the OB and landing spots and then go from there.
Yeah, I always feel like if you know the one place you shouldn't land, from there it only gets easier. Putting and forehands and everything else, all of your game in that sense, everything's feeling good though?
Yeah.
Okay. Any takeaways from last weekend? You just said that you maybe weren't prepared mentally to be out there. Is that something that you can look at in the future in terms of, hey, if my mind isn't quite there, maybe I need to pull off of that event or back away from that event, or maybe be at it in another capacity like caddying or there to support? Do you feel like there was a lesson learned maybe for yourself?
Yeah, I think right now I'm still finding my own boundaries out. So this weekend I'm actually using as another learning experience. I'm going into it with a different mindset than usual. So I want to know how I do after this and how I'm feeling, and then we'll know. And yeah.
It's always a learning process, and you're still very early in your career. This weekend, 3 rounds, and then we travel just a matter of 6 or 8 hours or less down to Peoria, another big event that's going to be Discraft, your sponsor. Do you feel this as the grind over this 4-week period? Deglow, Preserve, Ledgestone, Idlewild, do you see that as the tall task that it really is?
I don't really. I think Ledgestone, that was my first biggest event, so it doesn't really feel like a tournament to me. I mean, it does, but it's just like it's a coming home tournament in a way. So playing that, and then with Deglow, it's just like, again, it's another coming home tournament, so it's just more fun there. So it doesn't have as much pressure as the other tournaments. So I feel like I still get a break. It's not real, like, it's not as hard as it was a couple weeks back,
And speaking of coming home, your father is a big supporter. We see him often out on the tour or at some of your events. Will he be here this weekend? Will he be involved in any caddying or any other capacity?
No, he can't.
Okay.
Ledgestone, he might be there, so yeah.
Okay. And what does that mean when you have your dad or your sister or anyone else? What does that mean for when they're there and part of your support network? How does that make you feel at events?
It just makes me feel like I'm at home, and the people I love get to see what I'm doing and what I love, so it means the world.
Awesome. I think unless anyone has anything else, is there anything else you want to share? Open mic to the world, anything you want to share with us?
I just want to say I love you, Grandma. I know you're watching, so yeah, that's it.
All right, that's Hailey King. We wish you the best of luck. Go see the rest of the course. I think you're going to like it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And joining us now is our runner-up from the D-Glow just a few days ago, Kyle Klein. And Kyle, making the long drive for starters, and did I see on social media you even had a pit stop that you weren't planning on?
Yeah, we did. About 2 hours into our drive, our alternator blew in my van, so we had to make a 5 or 6 hour pit stop in Michigan City. So that set us back a whole day. So.
And that was my next question: is what did that mean for you for practice? We know right now the air quality is being challenged, so there's not a lot of practice going on as we speak. But how much time did you get out on the course?
I got 2 rounds in yesterday. The first round was kind of me. Well, we didn't get here until like 1 a.m. on Wednesday morning, Tuesday night. But first round was me being especially like super tired, not really getting the best practice. So round 2 is kind of more figuring out actually what to do. But other than that, those 2 rounds are the only practice I've had. So
then, how does it feel? What do you think of the course and the changes that we've seen out here? And what are your takeaways for the course?
I think it's very similar to last year. There's a couple changes, but I think those changes on those holes are the ones I was focusing on.
And do you feel like you have them dialed in? Was there anything that was particularly challenging to you? I mean, you have, of course, such a long throw, but then also, you're putting from just about everywhere. Is there anything that you maybe is still challenging you out there?
I definitely think holes 4 and 5 are a little more challenging. I have not quite dialed in the second shot on hole 4 or either shot on hole 5, really, so I'm still kind of in the gray on that one, so I might have to go back and do those later this evening.
Let's backtrack just a little bit. Last weekend, an insane performance. We see you get to the lead card, which is where we've seen you before, and you've held your own, but here you were going shot for shot with Eagle McMahon, a teammate, fellow, crush brother. What was that experience like for you?
There's a lot of words to describe it, but I'd say it was familiar. I'd say, granted, I've been on lead cards a couple times this year, and I don't know. I don't know. I've heard from some people that I'm the kind of person they kind of expect to fall off. Mm-hmm. They're like, he won't hold his spot. He's going to fall down. We'll have to worry about him kind of for the win. And I've told myself, you're not that person. It's like, you can hold, and I feel like I showed it.
You certainly did. And I think back again to MVP a few years ago, seeing you get to that lead card. And that's a lot of pressure for a young player and a young professional in our sport. And more often than not, you see people falter. And that hasn't been what you've done. What does that say about your game, about the mental fortitude that you have? What does that say?
It says a lot, just in terms of, I feel, maturity level. For sure, like even if I had a couple not great shots in that round, but I told myself I'm still fine. You're still right there, and just my mentality is, if I lose today, I didn't play bad. I just got beat. And that was kind of my thinking the whole week, and leading up to even this week. And like I got to start thinking that like, if I don't play bad and I still lose, don't be too upset, because sometimes they just play better than you.
Well, I think of the way Eagle started the round last weekend. He was 4 for 4. He then gets a miss on 5 where he just pars it. You birdied. Then you were holding the box, but he still went on to get 4 more birdies to follow that.
Right.
And were you feeling like, hey, I'm going to push this guy, or I'm going to get past him and he's got to catch me? What were some of those feelings during the round?
It was definitely just like a weird feeling, thinking I know I'm playing really solid, but I just it's hard to beat someone who doesn't make mistakes and just birdies everything. And I didn't realize till after the round that he was 9 under through 10 or whatever his start was. And I thought, I was still right there with him. So.
And what I think a lot of people also didn't realize is you found a way to get past him in a much smaller event. But earlier in the year, you actually held him off in a one-stroke victory over in Colorado on his home turf. Did you pull from any of that experience, and did you have flashbacks to, hey, I've beat this guy before. He's good, but I've beat him.
A little bit. A couple times I thought back to that, but that round, going into the round, I had, I think, a 5 or 6 stroke lead on him, and he missed it by 1. This round we were tied, and it was a much different scenario.
One of the most popular takeaways from the weekend were both of you in your various approach shots on 17. You, of course, straddling, you had the run-up during round 2. We also saw that Eagle had to straddle to throw that standstill. Do you look back at either of those shots? Are you as impressed with those shots as the rest of the world was?
Not really. Great, because even after I got that birdie on the hole, I thought to myself, that was terrible. It was like, that was
tee
so
shot
bad.
was terrible.
That was bad. I don't know how I ended up there. It just happened.
But in true champion fashion and runner-up fashion, like, you guys turned those less than ideal tee shots still into birdies. A lot of people are happy to get the birdies there.
Right.
You guys just did it in a flashier, more challenging fashion. So I feel like there's still something to take away from that. When you were throwing the shot from that road, did you think and realize, I'm sure you didn't practice from there, did you think like, hey, I can get to the pin, I can still get up and down from the birdie?
Absolutely. I range finding, I think I was 450 out, but I thought to myself, it's just a wide open shot. I'm looking right at the basket. You're pretty much level with it. All I have to worry about is not hitting the guardrail. That's all I had to worry about.
So as you go into this weekend, of course, a little shy on some of your practice, or you said a few holes you'd still like to dial in. What would you consider a success this weekend? What do you need to come out? I mean, high expectations with a runner-up performance. What is success to you after this weekend?
I think my goal in really any tournament, no matter the scale kind of matters, but in terms of like pro tours, national tours, majors, my goal is always top 10. I'd like to see that single-digit number next to my name when I wrap up on Sunday.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. We wish you the best of luck. We're glad your car is up and running. We're glad that you're here, and we're excited to see what you can do out there this weekend. Anything else you'd like to say to the world?
No, just
All right, you're ready. Yeah. All right, Kyle Klein, everyone. We wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. And joining us now is Kristen Tatar, last weekend's champion at the D-Glow. Did it sink in? How does that feel?
It feels amazing. This is why I came here, and this is what I have been dreaming about. And just playing good, finally, like having that confidence on the course. This was something I was like looking for and was struggling with, so I'm very happy I pulled it off, and that kind of way, it's even more special.
That kind of way, we have to go. I got goosebumps just saying it. We go to hole 17. Walk us through that moment, because that really sealed the deal for you. Walk us through hole 17.
Well, last hole, I checked the scores, and I was trying to decide if I should lay up on hole 16 or not, and I knew we were tied, and if I want to win, I have to go for it, and I just came short. It was painful because out of my hand I thought it was in. But anyways, I knew on hole 17 Paige is comfortably able to take an eagle there, and she had an amazing drive. And my drive, it wasn't perfect, but it stayed in bounds, so I knew I had an opportunity. The run-up was a little weird because it was in a weird spot, and I kind of shanked it a little bit, it went nose up and it stayed short, but it was in circle 2, so I still was telling myself, you have an opportunity, you just have to go for the putt, because there's no other way to win this tournament. I knew Paige was quite close. So yeah, I was very determined. I stepped up and I knew I had to make it, and just releasing the disc, and out of my hand I saw the perfect line, and when it hit the basket, I got goosebumps myself. I was feeling like cold all of a sudden. I was like, oh, is this really happening? And it was. So I was super happy.
How much of the basket could you actually see with where you were positioned? Could you see all of it, and did you see it go into the basket, or did you just hear it go in?
Well, I heard it, I think, yeah, because I saw it for the most part, but when it actually like dropped in, I couldn't see that one, but everybody was cheering, so I know, yeah, it was good. So I saw only the top of the basket and a little bit of chains.
Knowing that Paige was right there on the platform with a very makeable putt, what was going through your mind when she was lining up, and the fact that she actually missed it? Did anything go through your mind about what that meant and what you would have to do on 18?
I was expecting her to make this one because she had been putting so well, and she was running everything, and she made all the comebackers, so she was amazing on the course. And I was already in my mind kind of thinking about playoff and stuff, because I kind of knew that we weren't going to birdie hole 18, which is like, I don't know if it's nice to say that, but like I hadn't seen any of the girls come close to 18th green, and there's also possibility to do James Conrad on every hole, but like I was kind of like thinking par. Yeah, but seeing her to miss that shot, I can't say like I was happy about it, because we had been battling all this round and it was kind of fun, and I think everybody at home, it was fun to watch. But I just knew I had to take 3, and it's fine.
Yeah, there had been 0 birdies on hole
Yeah.
18 in actually the last 3 years.
Oh, okay.
In the FPO division. That was something I was watching, knowing that the tournament essentially would likely be decided by the end of hole 17. So you were right there in that position. Paige has talked a lot about you and her pushing you, but you being present, you being an FPO competitor that's in the mix, you're in the hunt every single week. What has that been like, knowing the best player in the world, at least stateside, the best player in the world has so much respect, and she wants to battle you?
I think it's awesome, and I think that's what I like too. I like competition, and I like other women pushing me and me pushing them, and I think this is very healthy and very good for the sport. And I really respect Paige, and she's always fun to play with and be around. She's an amazing athlete.
When you came here to the World Championships, I remember filming you guys for the mixed doubles, and you felt like your putt was just a little bit off. You were suffering from still maybe a little jet lag, humidity, really everything. Nothing was going, really well at first.
Yeah.
You dialed it in.
Yeah.
Over these last 5 or 6 weeks. Are you sad to leave after this weekend, at least for now? I mean, you're ready to go.
I am sad, and actually this has been a mistake that me and Silver had made for 3 years in a row, I think, coming here for World Championships and then playing more events. But so we already knew that was kind of a bad decision, but this year we had no opportunity to do otherwise. I think it's always my U.S. tours have ended well. So I've settled in and then got in my rhythm and everything. So yeah, this year too, I was extremely sad how Worlds went, and I was very disappointed. Not necessarily about the place. If you play good and place 5th, it's fine. But if you feel like you left so much out on the course, you can't say, oh, it was great. So yeah, I was just hoping to improve, and now seeing that my game was improving and I found my confidence again. Now I'm ready to leave that way, because I think I did what I came here to do. But of course I would like to spend more time here too, because I think the tour is here, Disc Golf Pro Tour is amazing here. Yeah.
Well, and certainly everyone loves having you here. You won at Clash at the Canyons. You won 2 weeks ago at the CCR in Michigan. Then you take down D-Glow. How beautiful, how fitting for you to leave here a champion this weekend. What is that going to take?
It's going to be tough. This course definitely suits Paige and definitely suits Catrina. I had the pleasure of playing one training ground with her, and I saw her shots, and yeah, she did well. So I expect them both to do very well, but I hope to be somewhere around and kind of push them too. Yeah, I'll just be focusing on my shots and just executing my shots, and I'll just see where it takes me.
You say that this course suits Paige, but I'm going to push back on you a little. You have every skill that Catrina has. In fact, Catrina said earlier that she's inspired you a little bit, or that she's been inspired by you and what she saw last weekend. Do you feel that you're right there with them every single weekend? I mean, you have a lot of respect for Paige, but
yeah.
You can beat her, clearly, and you have beaten her. Do you put her on a separate level, or do you know you're right there?
I hope I am there. Yeah, I mean, I've shown myself, and I hope to the world that I am able to beat some of the best in the world, and I think that was my problem like 3 or 4 years ago, where I was like getting close, and then I told myself, oh, you're not good enough, you can't beat them, or you shouldn't beat them, and then everything just blew up and on the course. But now I'm kind of like more calm, and just telling myself I can beat them, and I have the skills and abilities, and yeah, I think we'll see what happens.
Well, you've been inspiring to so many here in the U.S., to so many women around the world. We know that Estonia and the rest of the world has been watching you. I also know you're probably ready to get home, embrace your daughter. What will you, when you go home, what are some of the things that you hope that you can share with her, that maybe you'll be able to teach her from your experience of coming here and performing and playing at your best?
I think believing in herself, like just telling her that she can do whatever she wants to do if she just keeps working hard and keeps believing in herself. My problem has been not believing in me enough in the past, so I just want to encourage her to do whatever she wants. Yeah.
Well, you're an incredible golfer. You're an incredible role model. We wish you the best of luck this weekend. I know everyone from around the world will be watching as you're hoping to leave here a champion. Best of luck to you, Kristen.
Thank you so much.
Joining us, wow, take two, there's my mulligan, folks. Joining us now is Eagle McMahon, our champion from last weekend. And Eagle, long trip over, Michigan, over here to Minnesota. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, you'd think those states are closer than the drive is. So, am I ready? As ready as I'll ever be. We've had that drive, and now, not too much practice, a little bit of being sore from Deglo, but, trying to figure out a good fine line between practice but also resting. And I've done the best of my ability to, find that balance. So we'll see.
Quite a contrast in what we saw last weekend, the toboggan, still Midwestern golf, but lots of hills, some tighter lines to hit, as opposed to relatively flat out here. Is there any way that you're prepping yourself for the course mentally or physically?
It is very different, but basically out here I feel like it's a lot of big air shots, both forehand and backhand. So how you're attacking them off the tee, how you're attacking the green is going to be really important. And there's also a few little wooded holes out there that you're going to have to be mentally prepared for, ready to throw a more control style shot, kind of on, you're coming from a big hole and then all of a sudden you're throwing control shots. So there's going to be a factor there. But overall, it's a lot of shots that I'm used to throwing, a lot of shots that are similar to D-Glow minus the elevation, but, same kind of like style of flight. So.
And then you speak of both forehands and backhands that will be required out here. You also speak of being a little bit sore. Is there anything from a physical perspective that you have to adjust or lay off of, or your disc golf strong regimen and otherwise? Is there anything in particular to get that recovery and then be prepped for this weekend?
So the course, I'd say, is about 40 to 50% different than last year. There's 3 par 5s, 2 of them over 1,000 feet, one of them just under. And basically in practice, I just make sure I just throw around one shot there because it's just distance. I know how to throw a distance line. There's not that much out of bounds. So I'm just trying to, keep my throw count low there, but maybe on some of the more wooded holes, learning them a little bit more diligently. Just to make sure I feel ready when I'm there. So, coming off of D-Glow, being a back-to-back, it's more of relying on the work that you've put in, and trusting your ability when you're out on the course. Hopefully get some practice rounds in, but you're not going to dial in every hole to exactly what you want, and just hopefully when the tournament run comes around, you're ready to throw the shot just by the tournament pressure that goes with playing the first round.
Well, and it's funny to hear you say tournament pressure. I don't know how you even have it. At this point, you've got 4 Pro Tour wins this year. The only person that's ever had more in a single season is Macbeth. I believe he took 6 of them a few years back. But maybe expand on the momentum, the feeling. You're playing against the best of the best. Obviously, right there. What does that mean when you've had such a dominant season so far on the Pro Tour?
Yeah, it's more, I think it's finding kind of a flow, and there's a little bit of a formula to it. Like, in my mind, if I do something in this specific way, then, I think I can repeat it another week. So I have a practice schedule, I have a routine that I follow, or at least I like to tell myself I do. But, it's kind of just like sticking to what works, a meal you like, a practice schedule, things along those lines, and I've found success this year doing that. So hopefully keep the momentum, keep doing the same thing, and as long as I'm having fun and excited about playing, then that also increases my chances of performing well.
Oh, and going along with performing well, last weekend you were challenged all the way to the final hole. Fellow teammate, another young superstar that's really just come about in the last couple of years, Kyle Klein, solid performance. Any takeaways that you have? I mean, you've battled against so many different competitors, and here he is at the final stage. Any takeaways, whether it's him or other close competitors, that you kind of pick up? And I guess I liken that to when you're at a card table and you're playing poker, you get reads on all the other players eventually, and the more you play with them, the more reads you have. Is there anything you can take away from playing with Kyle and the competitors that were challenging you last weekend?
He knew how to put his foot on the gas and make the shots happen. So, a lot of respect goes out to him. That's not an easy thing to do with that pressure. I remember when I was a little bit younger, when I was Kyle's age, I kind of remember being kind of bossed around or felt a little bullied by like a Paul or Ricky, and I challenged them. It took me a while, and I see that in Kyle. He's starting to make the necessary steps, and he's doing what he can to get better. So I won't be surprised to see him pick up a big win sooner or later. He's definitely on track, and I think he's some of the brightest young talent the sport has to offer. Really impressed, and cool that he's on Dismania. He's a teammate.
Well, you say all of that, but now you're in the position to be the bully. Is there anything you can do that you'll make sure to maybe adjust so he may not feel some of those feelings that you had?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because like when when you lose, that stokes the fire way more than when you win. Like, obviously, I'm excited to win, but coming in second place really, for some people, is exactly what they need to get better. They feel like they can, they're out to prove something. So that's dangerous. So if Kyle has that mentality, then who knows what he'll be capable of. So for me, right now, I have to figure out how to play with the target on my back and still find that same hunger, or a different hunger that Kyle or anybody who didn't win last time has.
I feel like you're one of the most thoughtful and analytical people we have out there on the tour. And this next few weeks yet, we got one down, 3 consecutive weekends to go for Pro Tour events. What are you going to do to pace yourself? Because I feel like yourself and your body really well and what you need, but what will be some of those things you'll do to pace yourself over this next grueling stretch?
Yeah, it's one thing about the Disc Golf Pro Tour I've noticed this year is like practices definitely takes up a lot of time, but there's a lot of media obligations. Winning D-Glow has me on a lot of podcasts right now, so like kind of juggling my schedule. It's kind of hard to lock down a good sleep schedule. Plus, you want to make dinner, you want to do all the other things. So the time management aspect is really tough to get dialed in. So that's where I'm going to be focusing on. If I can have good time management and making sure that everything is organized, I'm getting practice in, I'm getting the right amount of sleep in, that's going to be key for me.
All right. Well, then the last thing I have for you is, if you can, anything you want to address to any fans or anything else, we'll give you the open mic, and or maybe tie that into a little plea for some space and or time management. Anything you got?
Oh gosh, I don't think I have really anything else.
All right.
Well, or wait, I got one thing.
Go ahead.
I wasn't dissing Kyle when I said you were wearing my shirt. I was kind of implying that he deserves his own shirt that he should wear on the final round. So, Discmania, Thought Space, let's get Kyle a shirt.
I totally agree. That's how I read it, and anyone else that misconstrued it simply doesn't know you as such a graceful competitor. That's exactly how I saw it as well. So we wish you the best of luck. We hope that you go out and perform well this weekend. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Terry.
Joining us now is very serious, focused, composed Simon Lizotte. Is that a perfect description of you?
Yeah, I just tried for 5 seconds to be serious. It didn't work.
Well, we're here. We're at the Preserve. First of all, how are you feeling physically?
Good. I was saying it when I restarted the season, kind of at the OTB Open, that I'm not really supposed to play back-to-back weekends, and now we have 4 weekends in a row, so I kind of had to pick and choose what I want to do. And then the European Championships got announced in Czech Republic. That's still going to happen this year. And I talked to UC, my sponsors, of course, and he really wants me to be there. So my flights are booked to Prague next week. And so I still needed to get Disc Golf Pro Tour points somehow. So that's kind of the reason I'm here. I didn't play on Monday, didn't play on Tuesday. Is today Thursday already? Yeah, we had a crazy long video shoot on Tuesday with Jomez. Then this morning we had a long video shoot again with Jomez. And I just didn't have time to practice, which is kind of good, I guess. I think the break was needed, and I walked the course. I didn't play any holes yet. I might go out after this and throw some shots, see how it feels, but I feel good enough. After Toboggan was like the ultimate test, I think, out of all the courses we've played, even though it's not the longest holes, but physically definitely the most demanding.
Well, and that led to my next question, which is, you are trying to stay off of throwing forehands. I feel like you're doing those only in the utmost, required ways, just trying to stay away from them. And you even said earlier that you weren't throwing at full power. Are you still not throwing at full power? And how much do you hold off on the sidearms?
So last year I didn't throw any sidearms for physical reasons. Now it's mostly for mental reasons because I've thrown so many turnover shots now with my distance drivers and fairways and mid-ranges that it almost feels more comfortable and easier than a straight forehand hyzer, which technically should be the way easier shot. But at the end of the day, of course, it all comes down to being confident and committing to your shots. And I feel like I can commit better to turnovers right now than I can in forehands. But no, I try to throw forehands here and there. I'm actually supposed to for like rehab reasons. So I don't know if I'm going to throw any forehands here off any tees, but hopefully you'll be in a situation eventually where you're going to have to throw a forehand. And I'm definitely not physically scared to throw any forehands anymore. And for backhand tee shots, the full power thing, I can't. I can't throw full power, which is maybe a good thing. I've been playing decent. My mistakes haven't really been off the tee. That's more like mental errors on upshots, and then my circle 2 putting hasn't been really there where I want it to be. But yeah, it's so tight in the top 10. I got one last week, and just a couple strokes here and there, and then suddenly you're on the podium. So I know it's there. I just have to put it all together at the right time, which that's golf.
Well, let's speak of the podium in top 10. Last year, during the final round, you shot a 14 under. That was the second hottest round of during the finals. But in the previous 2 rounds, you had a 13 under and a 13 under, and your average for the weekend was 10.58. But it wasn't enough to win.
No,
what is it going to take?
Yeah, last year obviously it was crazy. It was our first time here. No gallery, so I'm super pumped to have the Minnesota gallery here this weekend. Hopefully the weather clears out a bit because right now it's craziness. But it was a crazy event. I mean, a lot of people complained a bit that the course was playing too soft, too easy, but that kind of generated this exciting finish where 3 players were tied for lead going into the last hole, and anything could happen. I was super happy how I played, of course. I was, as always, it feels like injured, and I wasn't really playing at full power. I didn't throw a single sidearm all week. But on the last hole, didn't work out. But it was close enough, and I had a great time. It was, even without the fans there, it still got my heart racing. It was exciting.
Well, an eagle to finish out the tournament for Nikko to secure the win certainly provided plenty of the excitement that you speak of. You also talked about how much you enjoy this course, this property. What is it about being here and playing this course that really stands out that you love so much?
I mean, it's the whole preserve thing. I think there's 4 courses on there now, or 3 or 3.5. There's a beginner's course and then 3 monster courses. That is the dream. Like, I mean, just hats off to Cale for making the dream a reality, because having like an old kind of rundown golf course and turning it into a freaking disc golf super center that's what we all dream of. And he built it close to home, and he's running a pro tour here now, and who knows where this is going to grow to. And from everything I've heard, as a business move, this was from also a great genius idea, because the way the sport is growing and what he's providing here, the clubhouse, everything just looks so sweet. So yeah, I'm a bit jealous, and hopefully I can have something like this in the future. But no, there's just nothing to not love about this place.
Well, and that was going to be my follow-up. Nikko Locastro has this vision. Nate Sexton's been vocal about having this vision. They've both talked about it. What is the ideal property and or retirement center, whatever it is? What does that look like for you in terms of property with a course or more? How do you had to have sketched it out once.
The thing in disc golf is that I feel like the sport hasn't found the perfect course yet. I think there's no course I think that we play where I'm thinking this is made for disc golf. We don't really have that yet. It definitely does not belong on ball golf courses. I think we can almost all agree on that. But also for like the big shows, like on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, World Championships, it doesn't really belong in the tight woods either, because then there's no spectators, hard to film, doesn't look that great on camera. It's just we have to find the perfect hybrid, and I don't know, maybe...
If you build it, what does it look like?
That is a great question for someone that has great ideas about the future of disc golf. I think we'll get there soon, but I've been thinking about this, and I don't really know. It has to be probably some wooded old golf course with hills.
All right. So, as you said, you're pulling yourself off of the tour for a couple weeks. You're going to travel international. Of course, foregoing Pro Tour points, which are super crucial here. What was that conversation like with UC and your sponsor and tournament directors overseas? Well, clearly, super important. What's that conversation like to bring you over there?
It was a very quick conversation. I told UC I don't really want to go. I want to play the Pro Tours. They're much closer to home, and I need the points to play the finals because that's where the money is right now. And UC was, no. That's our biggest tournament we have in Europe. You're defending champion. You're going to play. And I said, okay. That's
okay. Cut and dry. Do you ever go against the grain? Do you ever disagree with UC and get your way?
No, I exaggerated the story a bit. UC and I, we're like business partners, and he's like a dad to me. We're friends. It's all a very easygoing relationship. And if I really didn't want to play, of course, he would have said, "Okay, do your thing." But no, we try to find agreements, and yeah, I mean, I'm important for the company, and he's done a lot of things for me. So we always find a good middle ground to go with, I think.
All right, and the last thing for you, is there anything you want to say to the fans out there? You're one of the fan favorites. Everybody loves watching you play. We're going to have on-site spectators, but anything you want to say out to the world that want to support and watch you?
Tune in, Disc Golf Network. I'm going to be on the Joe Miss feature card tomorrow, so tune into that on Saturday morning. Can't wait again. I love the pressure I get thrown into every freaking week. So yeah, no, I can't wait to see what happens this week on the disc golf course. It's been a wild ride, and it's going to get even better.
All right, everyone, that's Simon Lizotte, and I believe with that, we're going to wrap it up entirely for the 2021 Preserve Championship press conference. Thank you, guys. Of course, we invite you to all tune in, just as Simon had said. We'll see you live here on the Disc Golf Network, along with all of our post-production partners. For Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and the rest of the staff and crew here, we'll see you live on air tomorrow afternoon.
Beer time.